Yo, what's up, guys? So this is day 23 of the vocabulary challenge, and today I wanted to quickly look at some cool Lester Young lines. And I've done a little bit of transcribing of his stuff before, and he's got some very signature stuff that if you're familiar with his playing, you would probably recognize. So I kind of wanted to break down a little bit of what that is. So mainly the things I kind of want to point out with a few of these lines today are that the way he uses his triplets in a lot of lines, I mean, they sound very seemingly simple. I'm not saying that they're not simple, but his note choices in them are maybe not what you expect, and they're actually pretty sophisticated when you break them down. So I kind of wanted to look at a couple examples of that, and also kind of just wanted to talk about his lines from a voice leading point of view, because his voice leading is very good, and the way he moves from chord to chord, and again, like his lines, they sound very seemingly simple, but when you see what they are, they're just perfect. They're rhythmically, they're just spot on, and harmonically, they're perfect, and they voice lead very well into one another. Okay, so what I'm looking at today is a blues in C that's called Ad Lib Blues, and this is taken from an album that he did with the Oscar Peterson Trio. And it's just going to be a couple lines. Basically, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the line that he opens up the song with, which is basically just like an intro line before they go into the first chorus. And then I'm just going to show you like one cool, like quick line that I like from the first chorus in the middle of it. And then I'm going to go through the whole second chorus and just break it down and just kind of analyze it and show you what he's doing. Okay? So, first I'm going to play this opening line. And again, this is a blues in the key of C. Okay? So that line, broken down slowly, hopefully I get this correct. Um, okay, kind of flubbed it a little at the end. Let me do it again. Okay, so let's look at what that is. Again, this is the line we can think of just being in the context of C major. So he starts off just with some chromatic notes that are very cliche to the key of C major, starting in the major third and just walking up to the fifth. Okay, now here, this is a very signature thing that he does right now. He goes, okay, so what he's doing is he's starting, so 1, 2, and 3. So he's starting on a downbeat, but it's starting on a passing tone, almost like the flat third. I like to slide it, sliding into the major third. Then what he's doing is he's doing a triplet between the fourth and the flat five, or the blue note, and then going to the 9, and then the third. So that again, okay? And that's a very Lester Young type thing, because a lot of times when people do triplets, they might do something similar, but the notes that they're picking might be different. They might be doing something like, you know what I mean, kind of just using the same notes, going back to it. But here he's going, okay? And if you're playing this on guitar, I would slide the first two notes to kind of get everything in place. So, okay, very Lester Young, okay? Then he's going, walking up the C major scale. Now he's doing what would be more of a typical triplet, going between the fourth and the fifth, and then going second to third. So that triplet is different than the other ones. That's what I'm saying. They sound very similar, but there's subtle differences. And then from there, he's kind of going up this D minor 7 arpeggio, which is just diatonic to C major. Then going back down to that, and then third, fourth, then third. Okay? So it's extremely diatonic, but the rhythm that he uses, it just swings real good. And again, that use of that triplet there, it's very good stuff. So that line again. Okay, and then that's the top of the chorus. Okay, so now let me show you the line that I want to show you from this chorus. This. Okay, let me play it again because I was talking at the beginning. Hold on, things just loading here. Give it a second. course, in the middle of this video, this decides to do this right now. Let me see what happens if I go back a little bit. Okay, so that line. Okay, and all that is that's measures 7 and 8, which is when it goes back to the C major chord from the 4 chord, or C7, and then you have like the 3-6 or like the 2-5 that leads into the 2. So E minor to A7, which leads into a D. Okay, so what he's playing for the first measure. Okay, so if you think C major, again, he's sliding into the 3rd, which is the strong chord tone. So he's starting on the upbeat. So this is the downbeat. 1 and 2, 3. Okay, and basically very C major. You got the 3rd, the 5th, the 9, and then 3rd, 5th, 6th, root. Okay, so it's basically like a C major 6 type sound. Okay, 1 and 2, 3, 4. Then going to this note. So again, saying, look at the voice leading, very smooth, going down a half step. And this is a chord tone of the E minor. It's the 5th, and the line he plays. Okay, so that line is basically a 2-5. It's like E minor 7 or E minor to A7, and it's very simple, but the voice leading is very good. Okay, and it's a half measure each. So basically, you have the 5th of E minor, then the minor 3rd, so just straight chord tones. 1, it's basically 3, 4. This is actually coming on the and of 4, so it's syncopating the downbeat. And 1 and 2, and then the second half of the measure. So basically he has what looks like a D augmented triad, but those notes in relationship to A7 gives it an altered sound, because you have the flat 9, the 13, and then, well actually, I think that's where he goes to the next chord, or the root of the D minor, so yeah, so he uses that augmented triad to basically approach the tonic of the 2 chord, the next chord he's laying on, the D minor. Okay, so again, very seemingly simple line, but the voice leading is very sophisticated. You can go into anything from there. You know, so that's the line I want to take from that course. But the next course, we're going to look at everything. So I'm going to finish out this one, and then I'll let you hear the next course, okay? Okay, right now. Okay, so we can take it piece by piece. So he starts off pretty simple, and again, we know that we're just thinking, you can almost just think C major or C7 for the first 4 measures. So he starts off just the 3rd going to the root. It's very simple, sparse, and rhythmic for the first 2 measures. Right here. Okay? So in the next 2 measures, he's coming in on the downbeat of 1 of measure 3. So what he's doing, yeah. Hold on, let me just make sure I got that correct. Yeah, so what he's doing is, okay, so look what he's doing. Again, this is a very sophisticated use of the triplet. So he's going up here, and that's basically like a C major 6 with the 9 sound again, because he's starting on the 5th. Again, this is the downbeat of the measure. 5, 6, then root, 9, 3rd, and then 5th. So it's basically just adding the 9 and the 6 to the triad. 1 and 2 and... Actually, what he does here is he goes into the triplet. So what he does, look at how he varies these triplets. He uses the triad, the straight up C major triad, and that's just the 3rd, the 5th, the 3rd, and the root. Then he switches it up with this. So here he's kind of making it bluesy, because he's going between the 4 or the 11 and the flat 5 or the blue note, so it's like the blues scale, and landing on the 9. And then he's going back to the original triad. So listen how that sounds. Right? And it's those little subtle differences that really make it swing hard and make it interesting. So from there, okay, so there for the 4 chord, that note that lands on, it's very ambiguous. It's almost between the flat third and the third. The flat third would kind of imply more of the 4 chord, but it almost sounds like the regular third. And then he goes back up to that. So still just thinking very simple and triadically. Okay? Then for measure 7 and 8 again. Okay? Now that is coming in on beat 3, or the second half, the downbeat of measure 7. So that would be like C7, and then the second half of that, and then the next two, or the next measure is just that E minor to A7 again. So coming from the measure before, again, beat 3, what he's doing is, right? And basically, you can simplify your thinking to pretty much just E minor. And again, E minor obviously relates to C or C7, it's kind of within it. E minor would be more like a C major 7, but you can imply that as a 1 chord, like a 1 major 7. And then again, we know that the next measure, it's going to E minor to A7. So what he's doing, again, this is starting on beat 3. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So that is just straight up E minor triad. There's no other extra notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and then 4 and 1. And then he's just ending it with an enclosure that leads to this, which is just the 5th of the D minor, which is the chord that he's approaching. So it's extremely simple triadically, but it fits perfectly, and then the enclosure voice leads really nicely into the next chord tone. So from the top. One, two. Then he comes in with the last 3 eighth notes, or the and of 3 of measure 9 now, which is still the D minor. And then he lands on this for the G7. So he's actually approaching the 11, and what he's doing, and here it's another interesting use of the triplet. So for the G7, 11, 9, so he's actually using some color tones. And this triplet here with the G7, he's going between the 6 or the 13 and the 7, going to the 5th. So those note choices over the G7, actually, it's got a lot of color tones there, but coming from that D minor arpeggio, it makes very logical sense. And then going to the root, and then he's just kind of going back to those notes to lead back into this, which will be the downbeat of the next chord, going back to the C, which is the 5th of C. So coming again from those measures, 1, 2, 2, 3, right? And how he ends it with the C7 or the tonic, this is a very cliche Lester Young type sequence of notes. He just goes, right? And that's basically the 5th, the root, and the 6th. So he's just got like basically, it's implying like a C major sound, but he actually has no third. But that sequence of notes, like I said, is very cliche to him. I've heard him play that in other lines before too. So if I play that whole chorus again, okay? And the only other thing that I would tell you about this, and you gotta listen to him to kind of hear it, is how, oh shit. Alright guys, something might have gotten messed up here. I don't know what's going on. I've recorded this on my camera. I hope that this doesn't upload like this, but I really don't want to do this video because I'm actually about to leave. But I got the gist of that, thankfully, and hopefully you can still hear my audio. I apologize for this, but I really just wanted to say that his articulation on the notes is really good, and you can hear some notes are softer and louder, and notes that are accented and need to stick out. But you can listen to it and hear it for yourself. But I apologize for this. I know this is not good quality here, but you got the main part of this video, so I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you tomorrow.